Yeah.
Blasting off.
Hello, folks. It's the Podsquad with Colleen Roberts, Susan Moffat-Thomas, Peggy Barnes, Kathy Morrison, and yours truly, Wendy Card. And we are on location in our houses. There's a first for everything, right? Thanks for joining us for New Bern Now's podcast for April 30th, episode 139. How we doing? Woohoo!
Woo!
And we're connecting with you in the community by talking about the people and places in New Bern and beyond.
And this is the first podcast while in self-isolation. We want you to know that we're thinking of everyone who's struggling right now. And we hope that you'll receive some kind of stimulus or unemployment funds to help you out.
With so much sadness, we want this to be a place to help you to escape for an hour and join in on the conversation. Please know that we won't see your comments in real time as there's a 16-second delay on Facebook. Let us know if you have any questions, comments, or announcements.
And Peggy is in the business of helping people escape, right? Escape stress. And
I am.
We are so happy. We're so happy to have Peggy with us today. She lives like 3 houses down from me, but because of this whole quarantine and stuff, sometimes I see her out power walking, but that's about it since we have this stupid virus to contend with. So it's great to see you. And then my other comrades, Wendy and Susan and Kathy, always great to see you as well. So this is kind of a new Podsquad podcast for us. So what's going on? How is everybody?
Doing great.
Doing fine.
Great.
Great. Woohoo!
I've been saying that the world feels quieter, like there aren't as many people out walking around and, certainly if you come downtown at all, not as many cars on the street. And so, if you take the media out of it, like the world's kind of quiet. We're not seeing each other and getting together as often, but we will again one day, right?
Right.
Yes. And,
Indeed.
it's taken, let's see, on March 23rd, I think, I called the cable folks because I haven't had a hardwired connection. So that's why we haven't been doing a podcast, but now we do. So I think this is the new normal for a little while until we get things figured out. But we really appreciate everyone joining us. So, yeah.
All right.
So you all, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kathy.
I just said, okay.
So you all are at home, right? I'm looking at you. You're in your homes. I'm at my office at City Hall downtown. We're still coming to work every day. City buildings are closed to the public. And I started with this thought that I'm going to get so much done, and we have been so busy in the last several weeks. So local government is an essential service. We still have our power crews out tending to power infrastructure and upgrades. And certainly we've had, unfortunately, a couple outages in the last week. So we have our water staff out, all of the water quality testing and all those kinds of things still have to be done, even though we are in the middle of a pandemic. So you'll probably see a lot of city staff on the roadways, still out there doing their jobs. So we still have to come to work every day, which means I can't stay home in my jammies.
You don't have sweats and fuzzy slippers on under your desk.
But I really enjoy all the memes that, talk about, am I going to be able to fit back into my business clothes or like pants that have a zipper and a button, by the time I have to go back to work. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know why. Why is it, Peggy, that I'm going to the fridge more often than normal? And that's not normally the case as I work from home. So really my business hasn't changed. I do the same thing, but I tend to go looking, like 15 minutes ago, there were no sunflower seeds in the pantry and there's still none. So I don't know why.
Well,
Come to your house.
I can tell you that what I am seeing and what I'm hearing is that there are a lot of people buffering, trying to figure all this out. They are trying to manage their emotions in a way. A lot of people have just lost their footing for a while and trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing in this time and trying to figure out how to manage your emotions and your routine and your environment and the intake of information can really mess with your head. And so I think we're all just, it took me a little while to get my footing because I have been on a nonstop pace for probably 11 years. And to figure out how this looks, how this works, how this feels, doing some accepting of things that you can't change and can't control. And sometimes going to the fridge either for a food or the pantry for food or the fridge for wine or the pantry for alcohol or, you know, whatever people are reaching for now is kind of how they're managing. I don't recommend that, by the way, but I know it's going on, and I just, it's not unusual. So everybody's going to have to come out of this, you know, figuring out a new way to think.
And those types of indulgences didn't start overnight, so it's probably natural to expect they won't end overnight.
Yep.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I've encouraged people to do is really pay attention to how they're managing all of this. I do say give yourself a lot of grace because this is new to all of us, but also pay attention to some of the things that might need your attention in how you manage stress in your life. Because if you can learn a new way to do things and learn a new way to accept what you can't control, it certainly gives you a lot more peace and freedom.
That's very well said. Yes. I mean, somehow you have this calming effect on at least me with your words, really. If you don't know Peggy is a life coach and an organizer and so many other things that you do. And you really put out some great information. So thank you for doing that. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think one of the neat things, I'm going to tell a little story about Peggy, but so I think one of the first times I met her, I was walking my dog and she was power walking around our street. And, you know, we'd say hi or whatever, good morning. And she always, you know, had her earbuds in and had her phone in her hand. And, you know, sometimes she'd be talking or out some thoughts or whatever. And finally, one day I was like, man, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. Who are you talking to? And what are you doing? And one of the things I admire about Peggy is that I think you told me that day that you said I listened to a different podcast every morning or something motivating for me. And I think maybe just a small step towards, you know, something that inspires you or makes you feel better would be a great way for people to eventually come out of this. You know, maybe start a healthy habit, you know, take a walk around the block every day, or like you do, you queue up a podcast that makes you feel good, that makes you happy. And so that's what I learned about her. That was her secret to starting every single morning, was listening to something really good on her phone.
Well, and I thank you. And yes, that's my little tiny secret but the backside of that, and the one of the honest things is that it absolutely does help me learn, but I hate to exercise. I don't love walking. I don't love doing any kind of exercise. So I have to have something that engages me or I will do the loop and go straight back into my driveway without hesitation. So I have to have something that's got me going, got me engaged, and I'll look at it and go, okay, I cannot come home until this is done. Because if I listen to music, a lot of people can listen to music. I'm going, well, that was 5 minutes long. So this song's probably about 4 minutes long. So I got to listen to how many more songs before I can go home. So, but yeah, that is one of my secrets. And the mindset in this whole thing is key. Your thoughts and your mindset in this entire weird time we're in is one of the things that is a make or break it kind of thing, is really kind of pay attention to your emotions, give them the due, say, okay, I know I'm anxious, but then don't park there and live there, but at least give it some attention, give it a voice, but try to pay attention to how you can move on differently and better. And you'll go through phases during the day where you're ill, you're happy, you're tired, you're frustrated, you're excited. So just try to manage your emotions as best you can, but at least pay attention to them.
Well, Peggy,
right.
I agree with you about exercise. I hate it, but.
Don't you?
And I have a treadmill, which, there will be periods of time when I actually make myself get on that treadmill. But the problem is when you get sick of it, you can just get off of it. But I have forced myself to go for long walks. And I do just for that reason, that I can't just quit. I've got to, get to the destination and come back. And it really does get you going and during the day, and kind of gives you time to sort through your thoughts. Plus it's good and healthy for you. So, but it's nice to meet somebody else who feels the same way.
Well, I had a 98-year-old dad. My dad died at 100 in 2018. And at 98 years old, he could still get down and do 5 push-ups.
Wow.
So, yeah, I come from a long line of exercise people. So I'm trying to be not the black sheep of the family in the exercise realm.
Kathy, what are you doing to survive?
I'm hanging out.
Are you baking a lot of goodies?
No, I'm deliberately not baking a lot of goodies, or I would be eating a lot of goodies. I'm, doing walking. I try and walk, 4 or 5 times a week. Get up first thing in the morning and go take a walk, go outside, and see the same folks, everybody, that you wave to now from across the street because you can't stop and talk to them, and working out in the yard. And, digging around out there, making an edge because I didn't like the fuzzy edge on the lawn, important stuff. Okay.
And aren't you still working a little bit, I think?
I'm just doing stuff on the computer. The office at the Historical Society are all working from home. So, they still will take a call. You leave them a message and they'll call back. But I'm doing some stuff there. And we've moved, we moved the scholarship deadline. We had the Harriet Marks Scholarship deadline was back in March. Now it's tomorrow. So all the high school seniors that are busy wrapping it up need to wrap it up and get it in tomorrow. And we moved the golf tournament to October. So that initial golf tournament's in October. And we're figuring out how are we going to do stuff like lectures and lunch and learns and things like that when we need to pay attention to social distancing. And at this point, we're seeing, what the rules are really going to be. They're going to be different in a week or so. So we're, working on that and talking about that. And,
Somebody watching has heard about the scholarship. How do they get something into you by tomorrow?
By tomorrow, all the application
Fast.
is on newbernhistorical.org. And it's also on the New Bern High School website where they have all their scholarship information. And we hope there are folks there who either have already turned it in or who are wrapping up, gathering all the information they need to gather. And give us a call, 638-8558. Well, I haven't said that in a long time. I had to remember. 638-8558. And if nobody answers, leave a message and we'll come back to you and answer whatever question you might have. But that's about all. We're working on stuff like everybody, trying to figure it out. And we don't know the rules yet. we know today's rules, but we don't know next week's rules. And that's what's unsettling, is working without knowing what's happening. So, I pay attention to the TV a whole lot. And
I want to remind people that one of the things that was interesting to me that I realized is we never really did know the future. We never knew what every day was going to bring. But we just felt like we did because it was always kind of the same. So we're just in a new way of not knowing the future.
But we had it all written down on our calendar, so we knew.
Well, that's right. That's right. We thought we knew what was coming, but we didn't really know what was coming.
No.
That's a great point, Peggy. I caught up with somebody, Sally Says So dog training at a dog stream a couple weeks back, and Shane, he reminded me that there may be a pet pandemic or petdemic where animals they're not used to you being home. So they may end up with separation anxiety because you're always there and you're giving them all this love. And all of a sudden their human disappears when they go back to work, and they've got separation anxiety. So that's, it's something to think about. If you, before you would put your dog in a separate room or a crate if you left the house, that's a good idea to do, a couple times throughout the day. I mean, not locking them away, but, just leave and then come back. Just think about it. I thought it was an interesting point that he made. So,
well, let me just say, I think my daughter's dog had the opposite. He was so used to having his own peace and quiet during the day. When all this started, and then the kids were home and Jen had to close her gym and all that, and they were home, her dog, who is an absolute doll, he started tearing up all of his toys every day. I mean, and throwing them all over the house where she would have to vacuum. And it's sort of like, please go back to work. I want my own space. I mean, it's really been hilarious.
Well, yeah, and also that also could be because he senses the people's anxiety. And I went through that with Finn when we got back from the hurricane, because he had no idea. For a month, we kept trying to get back here, and there was no routine or anything, but he never chewed anything, thank God. So, except for no.
Well, her dog only chewed his own toys up and threw them everywhere. The fluff.
That is a hoot.
He was having a little temper tantrum or something.
Yes.
Maybe he wanted attention instead of her focusing on her work at home. He wanted attention.
I don't know what his
Look what I'm doing.
mindset was, but it got on her nerves. I didn't tell you that.
So how is Finn? I bet he really likes that Mama is home.
Actually, I've really been doing the same thing as far as training him. He's 3 now, and I still do the training and walking, and I don't walk 3 miles a day now. I'm getting lazy, but he's slowing down a little bit. But yeah. How's your pup?
Good. We were talking about separation anxiety. We had some of that on the front end when we first got our dog, and I could keep you entertained for a long time about some of the things she chewed up. But she seems to be okay now. Kevin is home quite a bit because the chamber is closed. And so we will probably find ourselves in that same situation where you kind of have to ease them back into it, so that it's not a shock when their human is not home anymore. So, but she's definitely enjoying getting more attention and him being home a lot more than he was before. I also feel like now she's his dog. She's not my dog anymore. But that's okay.
So what have you guys been doing differently? I know, Colleen, you have Taste Bud Adventure, and you have the Barefoot Contessa. what she liked your post. That's why. That's wild. Tell us about it.
No way.
Yes. So
Oh.
just talk about made my year probably. But so cooking is my thing. That's my outlet. It's my stress relief. I love a challenge in the kitchen. And so I decided to make one of her recipes. And before I talk about the recipe, it's kind of a funny internal city story. So there was a lady here who used to work for the police department, and she would bring in these raspberry crumble bars. And I mean, we would fight over them when they came to the office, if they even told me that they were at the PD. Most of the time I didn't know when she brought them in, but just out of this world. And I'm not even a fruit dessert kind of person. It's got to be chocolate. So when she retired, then she told us that it was what she was making was a recipe by the Barefoot Contessa on the Food Network. And so I went and looked for the recipe and I printed it out. And so a couple weekends ago, I decided to make it. And I posted it on Taste Bud Adventure, this, Facebook platform podcast kind of thing I'm having fun with over the last year. And I tagged her in my post and she liked my Facebook post.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
And I was really touched by that. And I'm sure a lot of people got a kick out of me because I was running around screaming like a banshee that the Barefoot Contessa liked my Facebook
Liked
post.
me.
Oh,
He
that
really
is
likes
good.
me.
So I got a good recipe out of it. And I don't know, maybe a Facebook friend down the line. I don't know. One can dream, right?
Right.
Right.
That's awesome, Colleen. And speaking of baking, Finn's getting used to the smoke alarm because Laura has decided to take up baking. And I told her, you need to get on Taste Bud Adventure and learn how to do it instead of following some instructions online. So anyway.
I hope you have a fire extinguisher.
Oh, I do. Oh, yes. I'm very safety conscious, but yeah, I have to. I actually bought I'm using a piece of cardboard that waving and just trying to stay calm because I used to run to the smoke alarm and Finn was all and now it's just I calmly walk, grab the cardboard and wave it. So, but he's getting used to it. It's what do you call it? It's reconditioning or desensitization,
Right.
something like that. Anyway, just
Well,
fun
hopefully
stuff.
what she's made has been edible.
I don't eat a lot of sweet stuff, but she has been making some different dinner recipes. So yes, I mean, she's a good cook. It's just I don't know what's going on with it's. I'm gonna blame it on the oven.
I think that's a good way to handle it.
For sure.
And we have Kelly Michaud in the waiting room. Are we ready to bring her in?
Yes, she's our guest for today. Bring her on in.
Okay.
While
You
Kelly's
there?
getting queued up, she is the owner of Solid Rock Accounting, and she's going to talk about some very important things, some local resources for small businesses. So we've asked her and invited her to come on today and talk to us about some of those resources, what lots of small businesses and business owners are interested in. So can she turn on her video, maybe? Kelly, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Bear with me a second. There we
There
go.
you go.
Welcome.
There she is. Yay.
It's good to see everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
We sure can.
Good to
Look
see-
great.
So tell us a little bit about Solid Rock Accounting first.
So I am we're a small accounting firm located on Pollock Street. And we actually specialize in working with self-employed, independent folks, small businesses. up to what we call mid-size, which is about under 100 employees. But our real focus is on small business owners and helping folks do everything from startup to the full service they might need if they need payroll, bookkeeping services, that type of thing. And we have a great relationship and partnership with a lot of the CPA firms in town. So we no longer file taxes here. And that was very intentional because we couldn't serve the small business owners in the time frame and the things that they needed. You know, it's a hard process to own a business. It is not easy. And certainly folks here in Eastern North Carolina, the last few years know that better than any place in the country, I think.
Yeah.
And
Can I just say something real quick? There's the storm is over. If we lose power, the lights are flickering. So if we just go away, it's because there's a storm and we lost
The
power.
red
But
alert came
hopefully,
up.
I'm touching wood, so I didn't mean to interrupt you, Kelly. But please go on.
that's that. You know, I thought I heard a little rumble here myself, but I wasn't sure. So anyway, we just we do a lot of relational kind of work with clients. It's a little bit unique, but we love it. And we love helping small business owners succeed. That's really the goal. And, you know, New Bern is like the heart of cities in towns in the area with small businesses. I mean, look at our downtown. You know, unfortunately right now it's, you know, looks so different than it looked 2 months ago. But we know that people will fight and they'll be back, and they're working hard at trying to figure out what it's going to look like and how they can be back with their doors open as quickly as possible and do it successfully. I think that this is a time when small businesses owners really need to, the easy thing is to kind of sit back and say, okay, I'm closed, I can't do anything. In actuality, it's an opportunity to really look at your business plan, look at your marketing plans, look at what works, what doesn't work, try to forecast what it might look coming, you know, back open, hopefully sometime between phase 1 and 3 with the governors. You know, we looking right now like it might be anywhere from May 8th to, you know, the end of June, depending upon what you do and what your business is. But it's an opportunity to really look at things, but it has been confusing. I mean, for all of us, you know, we look, and I don't know how many small business owners are with us, but, you know, we've heard, you know, PPP and PUA, and now all of a sudden we've got the economic injury disaster, or EDL as a lot of people are calling it, and all these acronyms are being thrown around, you know, DES and, you know, DEC, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know, what do they all mean and what do you do with them? And, you know, we've really worked hard with our clients and with the small businesses in the area to try to help them kind of maneuver what that looks like, what is there for them. I think there are some great resources in this area, and I think there's some that really get overlooked. One is for sure the small business centers that operate out of the colleges. And they not only have classes and webinars that are taking place right now, but they also still are offering counseling via webinars and video calls, via telephone calls, helping to walk people through options of what to do. I think that, you know, you look at the chamber, Kevin and the group have done a great job here in the chamber trying to keep people informed as to what's happening. Folks like you folks on the podcast, I mean, we need to just be absorbing all we can that is healthy and good for us. It's very easy. For myself, I watch the news once a day. I don't keep the rest of it on. I can't, I mean, I'm one of those that would be absorbed in it. And I've had to get to the point where, you know, I don't watch webinars all day, every day, which, you know, the SBA has one almost every day. It's like, okay, really?
Enough already.
Yes, it gets overwhelming. And if there's not something new to offer or something to say in a different way to help people, then I think that it's okay to kind of tune out a little bit. I think we need to be really focused as business owners and as individuals. And Peggy, you were talking about this. I think it's critical, this self-care, taking care of what you're going to look like, because the reality is that even as business owners, as individuals, we need to be the best, in the best condition, not just physically. I'm not referring to physically just, but emotionally, spiritually, kind of like when this reopens, it's going to be different for everybody. But if we've sat back and done nothing to kind of look at yourself and kind of use that time, whether it's reading that you haven't done, whether it's, you know, some yoga or some meditation, whether it is walking, whether you like it or not, right? Walking is good. It gets you outside, get some vitamin D. But as business owners, you also need to be doing self-care in terms of talking to your team, being in contact with your employees, you know, helping to make that connection and that relational type of contact is critical to people, I think, right now.
So Kelly, how has COVID changed your business? I mean, are you still meeting with clients, or are you talking over Zoom? Or if someone needs guidance, you know, how do they interact with you?
So for our office on March 20th, we closed the office officially. I am actually in my office, but I'm the only one here. Everyone else is that is still working currently is working remotely from home. And I am meeting with people via Zoom, a lot of telephone calls. If there's things that need to be done in person, then we are meeting outside and keeping distance from each other, that type of thing. And that's for my safety as well as others. I think that there are things that are difficult for people not to be able to continue to do. And some of that is, you know, clients are used to being able to come in. You know, we have clients that come in and it seems like once a week, whether they need anything or not. They're just kind of used to having that support system. Well, you know, we just can't do that in the regular way now. So we're doing some different things. Our team is meeting twice a week for 15-minute stand-up meetings that we used to have via Zoom with my team members. And we're trying to do similar things with clients. It's a little different because we have to respect the confidentiality of clients. So I can't have like an open call for clients to choose to come in, but they definitely know how to reach us, and they're in contact, and we do what we can to support them. In our case, we have been doing a tremendous amount of the paycheck protection, the PPP applications, paycheck protection applications, and the EDOM applications. And now we've moved on to the PUA, which is the pandemic unemployment assistance, which is really geared at self-employed folks, independent contractors, people that fell kind of through the cracks of regular unemployment and assistance because they didn't have a paycheck, they don't have a W-2, nobody pays unemployment insurance for them, but yet at this time they're not working, so there's no income coming in. So thankfully in the end of April, they opened up the pandemic unemployment assistance, and that's going to be a big help to these folks that are self-employed and independent contractors.
How long have you guys been in New Bern, Solid Rock?
So my husband and I moved here from Massachusetts, as many of you can tell. We've been here 15 years. Solid Rock, we're in our 9th year. So next year at this time, we'll be celebrating our 10th anniversary.
Wow, yay.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So what brought you down this way? What was attractive about New Bern compared to Massachusetts, where you were?
Well, for us, we began to look, we had several years, very bad weather in Massachusetts. Now, you know, we're kind of used to the norm, but we had 2 extreme winters back to back. And my husband said that was it. He was all done. And he's a very cautious, kind of quiet, moves very deliberately through things, but he was not kidding. And he said that in February, and in March, we were on our first trip to figure out where we were going to move. And so
Wow.
we've come down, we're familiar with Pawleys Island in South Carolina. We have family that have a vacation place there. And so we knew we didn't want to be as far south as Florida. And we decided that we wanted to move pre-retirement so that we would have a place that feels like home already, relationships that are already established within the community, within the church family. Those types of things are critical to us. And so we began a search kind of from Elizabeth City all the way down to Wilmington. And one trip, I think we came 3 times, and we were staying over in Atlantic Beach, and we had real estate meetings all over the place. And New Bern was not even talked about for us. And we had come through around in New Bern. And one day my husband said to me, the last day of the trip, he said, "Did you notice something about this New Bern, whatever it is?" He said, "We haven't stopped there, but we've gone around it, in it, around, through it, over the bridge, under the bridge." He said. And so the next day we came to New Bern proper, and we actually we looked around a little bit, and then we just grabbed a newspaper and looked for open houses. And
that is the way most people come to New Bern. They drive across that bridge, and they're sold.
Mm-hmm. I think that's so true. And what did it for us, I think, with several things, but primarily it was the amazing people in New Bern. This is, for people that don't live other places, I don't think they realize what a gem it is. We have people come to visit and they comment about how friendly people are. I remember one of the first times a couple of friends of ours, we were still working. They had gone to the grocery store during the day. They were going to make dinner that evening. And I got home, and the funniest thing, I was working in Jones County at the time. And the funniest thing, Marie just started, "Can you believe they wanted to know what I was going to do with this? And what was I doing with feta cheese? And what was I going to do with this? What was I making?" And she said, they like made me stop and like give them the recipe. She was like, and nobody would ever think to do that up north. Basically, they don't, you don't get people that kind of make these kind of blind approaches in a way that, was genuine. She was like touched. They cared about what she was making and her recipe and how she had found it. And it was kind of, and that is what we hear all the time from family and friends when they come to visit in New Bern. They go into a restaurant and people are like, "Oh, how you doing?" You see people on the street and everybody's saying hello, whether they know you or not. It's just an amazing place. And I think it's like this gem that people don't understand, really, because if you've lived here your whole life, right, until you leave, we often don't know what we're missing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the weather also, of course, we love. So.
Okay.
Well, Kelly, thanks for coming on to the podcast today. If people want to get in touch with Solid Rock, are you taking new clients? Are you available to help? And how can they contact you?
Sure, they absolutely. If somebody needs some help, please ask. Even this week I had a conversation. I was on a webinar with the Small Business Center, and this gentleman hadn't applied for anything yet. A small business owner, and he's just, people become frozen because they don't know what to do. So please reach out. The office number is 772-5825, 772-5825. And if you want to email, it's just Kelly, Kelly, at solidrockaccounting.com. But we'd be glad to help, certainly new clients. But if it's just a matter of answering some questions and we can help, please reach out. Don't sit in that place of being frozen or have a question, you're not sure what to do. I've got folks taking screenshots as they're trying to apply for things and sending me the screenshots because they're online and you can't get through, so they don't want to give up their spot. How do I answer this question? So reach out. We'd be glad to help. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate all you do for the community, each one of you, and look forward to hearing more.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for all
Kelly.
that insight.
Yay!
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Great day.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Had a lot of interesting stuff.
I forgot to add the social media to our outline, but I have, let's see, can you all hear me?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh, wait, let me see. 1 second. Whoops. Move. Okay, there we go. Okay, technical difficulties. Yawadi, she's the owner of Nine Limbs Strikers. She is hosting free virtual classes, hoping to keep kids safe, or kids safe, helping to keep kids active and busy. They're boxing and kickboxing classes, and for more info, email. I have not been drinking. Email info@9limbstrikers.com for the Zoom code. And also Laura Burleson, she said that Honey Baked Ham is offering a special deal for healthcare, police, EMS, firefighters, and that's through May 3rd. For details, call 631-5125. So and thank you everyone for watching. Anyone have any
Wendy,
comments?
Yes,
Susan.
I do want to make a comment, but I want to be sure and have you talk about your updated website. I don't think you've touched base on that, and I think we all ought to hear about that.
I agree.
Well, it finally, after I think a year, last year I announced we're going to be relaunching soon. I was really excited, and when I thought I was on the right track, I had met with Jeremy LeRae, who is our consultant. Yeah, there he owns New Bern Web Design, and he does all the back end as far as our security, the plugins, and to make sure our site is safe. And anyway, he's our peace of mind. And it's taken me this long to remove at least 2,000 pages and recategorize everything. It was just crazy. So today he is duplicating our site, and hopefully it will be relaunched tomorrow or this weekend at the latest. So I'm just so relieved.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
a lot of work.
So
Yeah,
if
but
a Zoom celebration?
It's going to look brand new.
we will have a celebration. Yeah, it's a totally different look, and it's I can't thank Jeremy enough. I mean, he has that eye for design, and he's just so knowledgeable. He attends WordPress camps like regularly, so he is up to date on all the latest trends and stuff. So thank you, Jeremy. I really appreciate you. So yeah,
He's my web designer as well, and he's easy to work with.
Yes, yeah. Actually, we used to hang out, the three of us,
We did.
back before I can't believe that was probably maybe 5 years
Long
ago.
time.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, with Google Hangouts. So, this really isn't that unusual because people have been doing it for so long, but it's kind of forced us into being more innovative and learning new things. And I think that's the biggest takeaway that I've had with all this going on. So what have you all taken away? What are lessons learned on a positive note? That Susan?
I do want to get to my 2 cents in, but I've got to. Oh, my husband must have got that phone.
John, answer that phone.
Yeah, John, get to it.
My phone off, or my iPhone off, but I forgot about the landline phone. One thing I would like to just mention, because I think this is really a neat project. I'm very involved with the Colonial North Carolina branch of the English-speaking Union. And you've heard me talk about the different programs we have all the time. And the mission is to really, through the English language, provide education opportunities to our members, but also educators and students. And a year ago, to expand the outreach in our community, we made a contribution of $1,000 to the PI organization. And it was money to be given to the 7 teachers to use for their English second language program. And they were very appreciative because their budget is almost nil. anyway, and then we decided a few months ago, well, wouldn't it be good to recognize one of those students with a monetary gift every year to just, again, expand that outreach. And our very first person who was chosen, and the teachers of the English second language program, they made the decision on who this child should be. And it hasn't been in the paper yet. We just got this information. But a young man, and I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his name. It's R-U-A-Y, I guess it'd be U-A, H-T-O-O. Anyway, he's a fifth grader at Bangor. He came to the United States with his family in 2015 from Burma, did not know the language, has taken advantage of every program that was available in these past 5 years. And he went from not knowing any real English to and being then an average student as he began to move along. And now he has grown to such a point that he is excellent with his education. He's at top ranking student. So I just think we're real excited that this young man who has worked so hard to adapt our culture, from his culture, and is just making such progress. And you just know he's going to, just move on and be a real asset as an adult in our community. So I just had to get that out there because I think any young person being recognized in that way is really nice. And at this particular time, we can't even have meetings to introduce him to our members and all that. So hopefully with this, he will hear it, or somebody in his family will hear this, and he'll get excited, and he'll be getting a letter very shortly too. So anyway,
fantastic.
Isn't that
Yay,
nice?
Congratulations. That's awesome. Very heartwarming.
Really good to celebrate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking at social media right now, and I want to reach out to our friends that are business owners, actually to everyone. So please feel free to comment. But Thea Kincaid, how's your business doing? Megan Johnson with the Adult Enrichment Program, Randy Foster, New Bern Post, Sabrina Bengal with Bengal Hospitality, Baker's Kitchen, Broad Creek Laundry, Pepsi Store, the Beer Army Burger Company, all of your businesses. And Todd Willis, Elaine Rouse. I'm not sure if you own a business, but Rob Jones. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Anyway, tell us how you're doing. Are you hanging in there? Please know that our hearts are really, thinking about you during you and your employees. So, yeah.
Wendy, one of the things that you said a minute ago that I wanted to piggyback on what Kelly was saying about the small businesses and about working at this time on your business because you can't work in your business. And one of the things that we have to take away from this as small business people is that we have to be ready to pivot. We have to be ready to shift. And now is a good time to get those things in place that will help sustain you if we have to do this again. We don't know. We pray not, but we might. And, begin to really, like she said, kind of begin to uncover and look at some of the things that you can do differently. One of the things that I'm doing now is I'm offering virtual organizing so I can help you organize from home. I already do coaching online and through the phone, but, and I'm working on getting some courses out there where people can work on their own. But those are things that I didn't have time to do before, but I'm working on now. And looking at the creativity of people has been astonishing to me. It has been amazing to me how people have come out of the woodwork and come up with such unique and creative ways to help not only themselves, but the community at large. So I encourage you just to think outside the box a little bit during this time. And it doesn't have to be all day, every day, but just give your brain some space to really be creative about your work.
Mhm. Yeah, oh, I totally agree with you, Peggy. Danny Batten is a classic example where he's taken products that he currently has and he's repurposing them with Surf, Wind, and Fire. They're doing face masks and hand sanitizer kits. So he never did that before, and but it's thinking outside the box. And if our viewers are listening, if you know of somebody else that is doing something unique and want to give them a shout out, please let us know. Anybody?
I want to just comment. I think one of the things that has made a lot of this lockdown bearable is the fact of technology. You know, when you look back at the epidemic in 1920, it was solely newspapers and, that kind of posters and all to get the word out. But with technology, just think of this meeting alone, and the businesses that can use that facility. Thank heavens. And it's incredible what you were saying, Peggy, about the ingenuity of people. Just look at the massive, different, ingenious ways that people have come up with things to make, their business more available, or just products, selling them, or just having fun socially with each other, and the birthday parties from afar. And I mean, it really amazes me of the ingenuity of people to not just, let it be defeated, but to figure out, how am I going to make all these things and stay in touch with my family and, keep the business going. And the gift card thing, I think, has just been a fantastic asset. But anyway, even though it's not a pleasant time, I think the spirit of people is just outstanding, to just take it in stride. And for the most part, I'm not saying it hasn't been an easy trip, but to not let it totally defeat us, and come out of it in the end, hopefully much, much stronger, and far more aware of how much we had and how life probably will change.
Yes, yeah, I totally agree with you, Susan, and I'm sure a lot of you have. Whoops, I lost my screen. Have been around the world, in different countries you visited, but I just think about the people in Thailand and Indonesia, and it just third world countries that they have. They have to walk to go get water, in Africa and all the different places. And we are very, I don't want to say spoiled, but we're very,
Spoiled.
we're very fortunate for what we have. And we really should embrace that when we feel, oh, this is an inconvenience, we can't do certain things. But just hang tight, and we are strong. America is, we are resilient, and we will get through this. And on a, it's not a funny note, but a very interesting story about the Spanish flu back in 1918. Kathy has a little story that I found very interesting. So,
Well,
Sherry?
We look back at the Spanish flu in 1918 and say, gee, what was going on there and how did that happen? And look what happened. And I have a connection. My mom was born in 1917. So she was a year old in 1918, and the Spanish flu started in the springtime in 18 and then went down. And then they had another giant peak in the fall. Well, in the fall of 1918, her 16-year-old brother died, and they thought she did too. They were having a wake. She was laid out in the dining room and they were having a wake. and her mother saw her move. So fortunately, she she made it past that 1918 epidemic. She lived to be
Oh, my word.
95 years old,
amazing.
and I am here.
Thank God. Yay.
Yes.
Imagine.
There's a picture of her right there. Can you see that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Great job. Wow.
Good job.
On that picture. That's 1939, and she played for a girls softball league in Sacramento, and she was, I guess she was 22 then in 1939. So that was her.
Oh,
That is-
super sweet.
That is so cool. What a great news story, you know?
Yeah.
And
So-
Kathy, I noticed you sent me that photo, but I didn't know how to share
I
it. So I'm glad you did. Thank
I
you.
wasn't sure how to work it, so I sent it to you in case I pushed the wrong button and disconnected myself or something.
What a great story. That
I
was
just
cool.
can't even imagine the family looking, viewing the body, so to
An
speak,
Italian
and then
immigrant
seeing her
family.
wake up. My
Yeah.
God, that
An
would have
Italian
been
immigrant family up in New York, in Fredonia, not far from Buffalo, where Wendy's
Mhm.
from. And just, in a little house where yeah, the wake was in the dining room.
yeah. Well, it was years ago in the
Yeah.
homes, but what a story. Amazing.
So, thank goodness, and I'm here.
Yay.
Yes.
For that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So, not for your mother, but she probably
No.
didn't realize what was going on when she
But
was
she
a
was
year
tough,
old. So,
and she was a fighter her whole life, and she was tough her whole life, and she made it to 95.
wow,
Wow.
that's
She did for all of us,
unbelievable. Come on,
Uh-oh, is that Laura?
Come,
Laura, they're asking.
come on,
Come
Laura.
over and say hi.
Okay, she's gonna pop in here for a second, but let's see, what else? So Colleen,
Yes, ma'am.
do you have any breaking news from the?
I don't have any breaking news. I am working on a video with the Department of Public Utilities to talk about the work that we're still doing despite there being a pandemic. I have a lot of great pictures of some people
There?
have been commenting on all the work. Hey, Laura.
Hey, Laura.
He said, "Hey, Laura."
Hey, ladies.
Michelle. Michelle. Okay.
We're hungry, so whenever she wants to try
We're
some
hungry.
cooking on us.
That's right. I'll eat your cookies.
Be careful what you ask for. No, I'm joking. So, all right. Sorry to interrupt. Colleen.
That's okay. So a lot of people have commented about all the work going on Trent Road, which is actually over 170,000 pound transformer that we put in on Trent Road. The one that was there before was installed, I think, in the 1950s or 60s. So it was at its useful life. And so we replaced that. You may have seen a lot of Mass Tech trucks out there putting the new transformer in. We're still getting out and doing what we can. Sometimes it's a little difficult for our employees based on the nature of their work to social distance. If you have a group of water sewer folks who are, digging a hole or a ditch for a pipe, it's kind of hard when they're both down there with the shovel trying to complete the hole to be able to do social distancing. But we're reminding our staff all the time to practice healthy hygiene. And in the video, it's really neat. A couple of our electric guys, our crew leader and our linemen, I interviewed them yesterday, and they were demonstrating for me that when they're out on the job site, they have this thing called a finger pole, I think, and it's used to manipulate the switches on the top of a power pole. And it's 8 feet long. But what they do with each other out at the job site is they take that fiberglass pole and, they make sure that the pole cannot touch the other staff members, out on the job site. So they're finding ways to remind each other to stay healthy, practice good social distancing. They have an entire igloo cooler on the truck that is specifically for washing hands. So they demonstrated that for me, and they have sanitizer and wipes, and it was definitely a learning experience, all the different things that they're doing to not transmit any kind of illness, even COVID-19. But anyway, so I'm putting that video together and should have that deployed by tomorrow. And it really was interesting to embed with them and see how their jobs have changed in the midst of this virus. And so we want our customers mostly to know we're still here for them. You can't come to city buildings, but you can certainly call us. The power guys were saying, we just ask the customers to stand across the street, and if we can help them with a city issue, we're more than happy to. And sometimes we can't update you on the power infrastructure we're fixing outside your house, but for now, maybe we just do a healthy wave. So it was really neat to hear from them, and I can't wait to put that together. So that's kind of what I've been working on the last couple of days.
And we are really fortunate that here in New Bern, we, in the middle of all the restrictions and things, we have all of our services. The city workers have really done a super job, and, we've seen no holes, no missing pieces of any of it. They're just doing a great job.
Really
Yeah.
are.
And I have another comment about the city. Since I changed I have Sudden Link now. Well, now I have TiVo, which I thought that went away like 20 years ago, but I dropped my Direct TV and now I have Sudden Link, and I can now watch CTV3. Yay!
Yeah.
I watch it, and I'm like, man, we need to, send the podcast or, different information to you. And I just want to remind people out there, it's a great way to get your message out. Not like, what do you call it? Advertorials or anything, but things that really help people. I mean, there was a dog trainer that I hadn't heard about, but I learned, there's been a lot of great information, and of course the alderman meetings and different things. So if people want to get the word out, how do they do that, Colleen?
I appreciate your comments, Wendy. Yes, you can participate in City 3 TV. We are state funded, so we do have some rules against advertisements. But we have probably about 50 or 60 different businesses or nonprofits, the school system, that sort of thing, that are participating now. You can send me videos or static slides of information about your organization. It is on Suddenlink Channel 3, but you don't have to be a Suddenlink customer to see it. We also broadcast it 24 hours a day on our website at newbernnc.gov. But if you want to participate, you can give me a call, 252-639-2707, or email me and I'll send you some of the guidelines and show you how to get signed up. And my email is robertsc@newbernnc.gov. Actually, one of our biggest users over the last probably year, 18 months, is the Bern Historical Society. So Kathy's been sending me announcements about all their different events that they have going on throughout the year, and their guest speakers and things that they have. She emailed me, last week to let me know that the golf tournament had been changed to a new date. And so it's a great way to get the word out. A lot of people find us on the web and say, oh my gosh, I had no idea that event was going on. And it's free. That's the best thing, is it's free. So if you're interested in participating in City 3 TV, definitely reach out. I'd be happy to help.
That's fantastic. And before we go, I have a squeaky chair. So hold on one second. I just want to highlight one of many of our local artists, and it's Lisa Bisbee Lentz. Do you recognize that?
Beautiful. That's the top of the
So
church
pretty.
next door, right?
Yes, it is. When she was painting en plein air back in, that's an oil painting. Actually, I think, that's an oil painting too. That's of camping. And right here, the moose is Lisa, and there's a bear. But I think every podcast we should feature something from handmade by a local business or nonprofit, or just kind of like on display. So what do you guys think?
I think
Good
that's a
idea.
good idea. I think that's a good idea. I could run over and grab my Lisa Bisbee lens, but it's too far across the room.
So today's featured artist is Lisa Bisbee Lentz.
I think we can use all the positivity we can get these days. And so I think looking at a beautiful piece of art or, a painting or whatever would be a welcome sight on the podcast.
There you go.
Great.
Well, I really appreciate all you all joining us. Thank you for watching on social media. And if you want to become a guest or have any questions or comments, suggestions, give me a call at 259-6853 or sending us an email at info@newbernnow.com. And we will be figuring out how to add the music on down the road. So if you know how to do that, if you can give me a holler.
We can all hum. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
That's right. Uh-oh, Wendy, you're still there? You got stuck.
Uh-oh, she froze.
I'd appreciate. Are we there?
Now you're back.
Are we there? Yeah, we're back. Okay. All right. So anything else?
That's
Are we
it.
good?
Doing this, Wendy. This has been absolutely great. You're the only person who would persevere and make sure that New Bern Now and the podcast was going to be out there. So thank you.
I think it's fun, and it's so great seeing you guys. I miss
It
all
is.
of you. So and
Well, thank you for letting me be a
Yeah.
part of the Podsquad today.
yes,
It's always a pleasure.
yes, it is. Thank you, Peggy, and everybody, y'all. I think that's a wrap. And
So-
thanks for joining us, and have a great day, folks. Bye. Woo-hoo! Okay, I need to stop it. How do I stop it? How do I stop the internet?
Hit leave meeting.
Will that stop recording, Colleen?
I think so.
I think Colleen left. I'm going to leave.
Yes, I-
Bye-bye.